The budget cap was first introduced in the last season, and this has made F1 teams question how many updates they are able to bring to their cars. As one of the teams who have upgraded their car on every race so far, have Mercedes and Red Bull done their final upgrades for the remainder of this season? And if so, is there any chance that the other teams, such as Ferrari, have an easier path to the Constructors' Championship due to this issue? We will be discussing all of these questions in this video, so stick with us until the very end to find out what the future looks like for Mercedes, Red Bull and the other F1 teams. First, we have to go deeper into the budget cap and why it was implemented. One very important thing as of now is that the budget cap this year has been the strictest one, as teams aren't able to spend more than $140 million in one season. This includes everything that one team has to spend in a season, like salaries, maintenance and costs of production. The budget was primarily added to the F1 world due to limiting the sheer purchasing power of the strongest F1 teams, such as Ferrari, Red Bull and Mercedes. The goal is to make the driving sport more competitive and to help other teams emerge from the mud. The cap will lower for another $5 million in 2023, and the only way it'll change is if the inflation rate increases over 3%. However, the teams will receive a bonus of $1.2 million if the calendar surpasses the 21st race, and we know that the 2022 calendar holds a total of 23 races, 24 initially, with Sochi being removed. So the budget cap will be $142.4 million. So which teams will struggle the most with this budget cap? Logically, it's the teams that have spent a huge amount of money in the past without any limitation, such as Red Bull, Mercedes or Ferrari. Other teams that haven't spent so much money already know how to budget their way through this limitation. However, we've seen in the past that those manners won't bring them in a close fight for the championship. Furthermore, the accountants of the big teams don't possess the power to sign off any check now, as it will go through the team's boss's approval first, because there's only so much you can purchase for a season. And the question being asked, is the budget cap actually working? Well, for last year, you could hardly say so. But this year, with the new regulations and the brand new F1 cars, the midfield is much more compacted, and we've seen teams like Alfa Romeo and HAAS performing very well. On the other hand, you have Aston Martin and Williams who still haven't managed to get a grip on the car's philosophy. For 2021, the budget cap didn't affect the top-performing teams too much because the cars had already been in development 7 years prior, and there was only so much you can add to the car. But now, with everything being a novelty in the F1 world, including the problem of the car's porpoising, teams are found in a tight spot when it comes to spending money to fix these problems. Helmut Marko has spoken about the updates that Red Bull is planning to bring to Barcelona, as he focused mostly on the weight of the car. It's worth mentioning that Red Bull and Mercedes are the only teams that have brought updates to every single race. This was more than expected from Mercedes, which was struggling to make the car drivable in the first place. But Red Bull seemed to have found the pace in the first couple of races, with most of their problems revolving around the reliability issues. There were rumors about them spending almost 90% of their budget cap already before round 6, as Helmut Marko has denied these rumors instantly. We will have new parts and will finally reach our optimum weight. So far, we have been quite a bit over the required minimum weight of 798 kilograms. Us and Ferrari are on equal footing. We are still looking forward to the big fight, and we have full confidence in the FIA to ensure that everything goes well. The difference will be made in whoever manages to get the best out of their package on the respective circuits, Marko added. Floor updates have been made for the Barcelona race, as Toto Wolff admitted that they have to do major modifications in order to keep themselves for the battle. Translated in the business dictionary, major means expensive, so they have already spent a huge amount of the budget cap. Apart from the floor, Mercedes is bringing updates to their engine too, as it's considered the weakest one out of the 4 manufacturers. Engine replacement is never a cheap thing to do, considering how complex they are and how much it takes to produce one. And the main goal of the team will be to replace the current engines that have brought them very poor performances in the recent tracks. We will carry out a few experiments on the floor for this, the porpoising problem. In Barcelona, we will then have major modifications to the underbody, which will hopefully already be a solution, Wolff added prior to the Barcelona race. And we all saw how that GP turned out for Mercedes. Phenomenal! Hamilton had a puncture after colliding with Magnussen at turn 4 in lap 1, so he dropped to last place. He even wanted to retire the engine, but his team encouraged him that there are still solid chances of him scoring points, so he finished P5, even passing signs for P4. Eventually, he had to let him go due to reliability issues and him not being able to push the car to the limits on the last 2 laps. So how can these teams go over the budget so recently? One of the first people that pointed out this potential problem was Mattia Binotto, the director of the Ferrari team. However, he hasn't been just a good guy by reminding Red Bull they might be over the budget soon rather than later. He alerted FIA about this problem too, hoping that they are paying attention to what's happening outside of the track. I have always said that we would have to wait for 5 races to assess the competitiveness of the cars. Now 5 GPs have been contested and we are leading the 2 World Championships, so we must not be disappointed. But it is true that Red Bull has improved their car by looking at the last 2 races, Binotto said prior to the Barcelona race. We always monitor the news that Red Bull brings to each race, and we know how much they have already changed by making an estimate. To date, they have spent much more than us, and at some point they will have to stop, Binotto finished. There is a method where you could mathematically find out how much money an F1 team spends, and some of the F1 community have already made the calculations that Red Bull has allegedly spent around 75% of the $10 million remaining when you take out the costs of everything else. As for Mercedes, they believe that they are already over the limit, meaning that this could be the last major update the team has made for this season. However, was it worth it? We've seen the results in Barcelona, and we've seen how good the car was behaving. The porpoising was nowhere to be found, and Russell was able to keep Verstappen behind for a major amount of laps, although the Red Bull driver had a problem with his DRS not opening. But there is one bigger problem emerging, and that is Hamilton's engine. The Brit has pushed this engine to the limits due to him purchasing points in order to stay in the championship race. This has cost him a lot, and it seems like his engine will likely be replaced by another one, which will cost the team an additional amount of money. It will be interesting to see how the team will fix this problem. The big question is, what's next for Mercedes and Red Bull? It seems like the Austrian team has already figured out the mechanical and aerodynamic problems that are causing the porpoising effect, but they lack reliability. So the rest of their budget will likely go there. As for Mercedes, we're really unsure of what the future holds for them. Barcelona was amazing, but they have wasted a huge potential out of Hamilton's engine already, and that could turn out to be a disastrous financial obstacle. So we shall wait and see what the future holds for these 2 teams.